believe as a church when it comes to doctrine and teaching of the Bible. I think it was John Chrysostom who originally said, in essentials unity, in non-essentials charity, in all things Jesus Christ. And I think what he was getting at from the very early days of the church is that there are certain doctrines, there are certain teachings that are far more central or essential to the Christian faith. Things that if you were to disagree about or to deny, we would struggle to even call you a Christian. You know, how can you believe the Bible and believe those things that are clearly in contradiction to the Bible? And so there are essential things having to do with the gospel, having to do with how we view the Bible as an authority in our lives. But every point of doctrine doesn't need to be considered essential in that category, because Jesus also said that the unity of the church is important. In John 17, Jesus prayed, I pray that they might be one as you, Father, and I are one, that the world might know and might see what we're all about. And so there are these competing realities of faithfulness and fidelity to the gospel message and our love for God, but also an understanding that not everything is equally as important, and that there are some things that we just need to unify and choose to agree to disagree around. So that's always been a framework from the very beginning of the church, is that there are certain things that are most important and other things that aren't. What I've found, however, though, is that if you only have two categories of theology, you end up spending all of your time in some of the debatable or important matters fighting over which category it belongs into. Because what you believe about it matters, and it impacts the practice that you have as a church, but it doesn't matter to the level of fidelity to faith. It doesn't matter as an essential, so to speak. And so at Rock Hill, we've actually found it really helpful to think about theology in three categories, or three columns. There are the essentials, the things that everybody needs to agree upon. Those are lockstep. Those are things that the Bible clearly teaches. There are the non-essentials, things that in a lot of ways we have no official position on. And then there are what I like to call this important category, the theological distinctives that we have, that we believe because they impact our faith and they impact our practice, but we wouldn't consider them essential to the faith. And so for our essentials, just as a framework, our 10 articles in our statement of faith, we ask all of our members to affirm without hesitation. Those are things that we deem essential or that the Bible clearly teaches. Things in the non-essential category have to do with that we actually have no official position on. These are going to be like whether you believe in a young earth or whether you believe in an old earth. These are going to be things like certain events surrounding the return of Christ, whether you're a premillennial or amillennial, or we don't actually have a position on that as a church. Things like whether you eat only organic food and want to shop local, or whether you're okay shopping at Walmart. Things like whether you breastfeed or bottle feed your kid. Things like whether it is appropriate to send your kids to public school or private school or homeschool. We say yes, that each of those has certain challenges associated with it, but that those can all be valid expressions of Christian maturity. And because of that, we are not going to divide over those things, nor are we going to make them a dividing line, so to speak, of fellowship, those who are in and those who are out. People are welcome to have positions on those things. Also, political parties and things like that fall into that category for us. We would say there's no official Rock Hill position on that. Now, I as a pastor have certain beliefs and things about those things, but they're not going to rise to the level of impacting a whole lot of our faith and our practice. The middle category, we have 6 theological distinctives that I'll start teaching you about in the next video.